Welcome back to Starting Lineup. You never knew who's going to stop by the big show every Saturday here on ABC 3340. She's Teresa Autry. Teresa and I go way back. We've known each other for 30 years. She's been a broker in the real estate business for nearly 30 years, almost 27 years now with Exit Realty in Birmingham. Welcome to the Starting Lineup. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. You can hear a brand new show with her on Tony Curry Radio called Home Field Advantage. It runs at least 5 days a week. And of course, here she is on our Saturday morning show. So, a lot of people in your line of business don't want to be on television right now. They don't want to advertise because they're freaking out. They don't know what happens when the rates go higher or lower. Right now, there's an absence, of course, of good homes to buy. I know that because I'm having to rent myself. But I want to back it up just a little bit. First of all, how many homes will the average person own in their lifetime?
8.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And how long does the average person stay in a home?
7.5 years.
7.5 years. So 8 homes in 7.5 years. So I guess the biggest question right now is why in the world do we have such a shortage of homes for people to buy, and why are the rates? Why is it so expensive?
Well, you would have to think the economical people that are way above my pay grade for all that.
Yeah.
If it was me, I would still have the rates in the 5s to 6s, not above that. But it is an election year, so hopefully that will be adjusting itself. Whoever knows the economy. The other thing is, during COVID, we had a supply shortage. That's just what happens. And because of some of the stuff was waylaid, I mean, I remember the day I went into Lowe's and a piece of lumber was 2x4 was $3.33. Next, 2 days later, it was $9.99. And when lumber goes up, it don't go back down.
Yeah.
So when you are building the house and you've quoted, say, $470, and the price comes in at $75,000 extra because your lumber package went up, there you are.
Yeah.
So the average price of a house today is here in your local area and the surrounding counties is $361,528.
Wow.
So that's your average house here. And that's going to get you a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and depending on your outlining area, it'll put you where it needs to be.
You can find Teresa Autry, of course, Exit Realty Birmingham, myexit.co. Her number is 294-4210, 2494-4210. Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point now where, you used to save money by renting so you could put money into a house, and now we're finding out that rentals are actually more expensive than mortgages themselves, which really doesn't help the person who's, first of all, looking for a first-time home or perhaps got out of the market. Now they're wishing they would have stayed in.
Well, and that's happened to a few people I know right now. I just left a Birmingham Association of Realtors event where we were just discussing that. What happened with COVID is the supply chain stopped.
Yeah.
And when that happens and the supplies held up, of course, building slows down. And then people got scared about the building industry, so a lot started retiring. The good, solid builders, they're few and far between, and the ones that are quality are covered up right now. Mm-hmm. They've got work for years. And some people don't want the tract homes,
Yeah. Well, and I would figure, too, because of COVID, I would figure that it would be a premium because a lot of people realized just how important their home was because everyone was staying there. Well, I mean, people that didn't like their home, they had to work there 24 hours a day. They were looking for a place. They're like, hey, listen, this is my home. This is a place I need to work from and be a big part of.
And that's why one day my cousin, who is a DEA, he sent me a picture and it had Lowe's people backed out the door. And I said, what are these people doing? Well, they were sitting at their house thinking about all the stuff. The honey-do list was getting done.
And then there was no doubt. Teresa Autry, you can find her 294-4210, 294-4210, or myexit.co, myexit.co, Exit Realty Birmingham. Teresa Autry, thank you so much, and come back and see us again soon, will you?
Thank you.
All right, great. The starting lineup, it is time for college football. Let's get it on.
It's a football Saturday in the SEC. Here is the starting lineup. The man with the golden voice, sports savant, Keefer. One of Birmingham's all-time most multi-talented, iconic broadcasters, Tony Curry. 4-time champion Paul Feinbaum show caller contributor, the legend. The illustrious First Lady of SEC football, Terry Quillian. Award-winning national sports handicapper from Las Vegas, Keefer. And now, let's talk football.
Here we go, baby. Welcome back to the starting lineup. Another great week of college football. I am Tony Curry along with Kip Keefer. We got Terry Quillian. She's going to be on in just a few minutes. We got the legend with, of course, his forecast. A big ball game there at Wisconsin. We'll talk about that.
Man.
And, of course, the game coming up here at the top of the hour, LSU at surprising South Carolina. We also have Teresa Autry with Exit Realty Birmingham as our special guest. But, Kip, how you doing, brother? What's
Hey,
going
Tony,
on?
I'm ready for football.
Me too.
I've it's been a whole 6 days, exhausted from last weekend, all the ups and downs and crazy games. What about that Notre Dame upset? Coming off the Texas A&M game, losing at home to Central Michigan, Northern Illinois. Let's give the right team credit. They're so obscure, I can't remember who beat
Somebody had him plus 28, my friend. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah,
we had a couple dogs
nice
there.
lick there.
We're barking, we're barking.
We're ready for this week.
Yeah, we got some killer games. So what are those games, man?
The marquee matchups coming up right now on the starting lineup. Here they are. Tony mentioned it. Alabama up in America's Dairyland, an unusual place to go. It's the Tide and the Wisconsin Badgers, our first game to note this week. As Tony mentioned also, coming up right here on ABC 3340, beat up LSU, a little bit injured, going to play South Carolina, who we talked about a little bit last week. Watch out for them at Kentucky. They not only won, they won 31-6. What a blowout in an unexpected situation. We've also got the Georgia Bulldogs, #1 in the country, playing Kentucky. Their former quarterback, Brock Vandergriff, will start for the Wildcats. A 3-touchdown favorite, Georgia. And our final stop on our marquee matchups, a game. Basically, Tony, remember in wrestling, if you lost, the loser leaves town? Mm-hmm. That's basically the theme of the Texas A&M Florida game,
no doubt,
because they'll already have 2 losses and pretty much be out of any kind of race for this college football season.
Well, let's take a look at some of these bad
Yeah,
ones. South
what are your
Carolina's got to
thoughts?
be chomping at the bit because they got College Game Day there.
Yeah, how about
they
that?
don't have the Keefer and Curry show there yet. But they will if they start winning some more football games. But yeah, South Carolina's got College Game Day, which is kind of crazy. And then you got this Alabama-Wisconsin game, which is kind of strange. 3 weeks into the year, Big Ten, SEC, of course, a team about 9 years ago. I believe this guy named Derrick Henry ran crazy all over Wisconsin. Alabama won that game. The game before that, 1928. Wisconsin won that game 15-0. So that's going to be an interesting game. And of course, you got the new head coach there at Alabama coming off another, I say impressive when he gets USF. For some reason, USF, they've always got their number in the first half. They break away in the second half, but Alabama does lose the turnover war. And so we're going to find out what this team's made of. And I think a really good test for Alabama going on the road at Wisconsin this weekend.
I've been talking about it all summer. People are kind of overlooking this game. It's still a strange environment that they're not used to going to. I've been to a game at Camp Randall. It's more of an SEC kind of exciting atmosphere than some of the mundane Big Ten sites. So that game is going to be very interesting. We'll see if South Carolina can keep it going against LSU. And also very intrigued to see if the era of Lagway at Florida has started. Billy Napier has been insisting he's probably going to go back to Graham Mertz, which I think the Florida fans might burn down the swamp if that doesn't go well. Let's find out what Legend thinks. Legend, what's your thoughts on the marquee matchups?
Oh, thanks, Kipper. That Kipper's got an arm on him, I tell you. What I like about the marquee matchups today is this Texas A&M Florida game. Because Texas A&M coach looks like a plumber, and the Florida coach is going to need a plumber soon because they're about to kick him out of his house. Either way this one goes, I'm happy today. I'm going to enjoy it either way. I love these marquee matchups where you hate both teams. Now let's kick it to the First Lady of the SEC, Miss Terry. Take it away.
Thank you, Legend. Well, there was going to be a big marquee matchup tonight in Lexington, Kentucky, with the #1 Georgia Bulldogs coming to town. Supposedly, it was going to be a big deal with former Georgia quarterback Brock Vandegrift going up against his old team. Everybody was making it like it was going to be a big grudge match. And then the wheels kind of came off for Kentucky last weekend versus South Carolina. However, I still think this is going to be a bit tighter game than people have been predicting. Georgia has trouble in Lexington when the weather is bad. 2022, it was 16-6. Of course, there's a big difference with the Dogs going in this week. No Will Levis on the field. We'll see what happens up there tonight. And now, over to you, Case.
It's never comfortable to take a road favorite laying a touchdown in these marquee games, but I survived it last week. I said Tennessee would roll NC State in this segment. That's exactly what happened. I'm going to tempt fate and do it again here. I like LSU laying 7 going to South Carolina today. It's not that I dislike the Gamecocks. In fact, I think I'm the only person on earth holding an over 5.5 wins on South Carolina. They broke out last week, destroyed Kentucky, but look at how they did it, at least defensively. They did it with an experienced secondary and a good defensive front. Well, let me tell you, it is a lot different going up against Kentucky's offensive line than it is LSU that is chock full of pros. It's a lot different going up against Brock Vandegrift, who's never done anything, than it is going up against Garrett Nussmeier, who has one of the best arms in college football. I think LSU wins by double digits today at South Carolina.
Step back into the groove and then into the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Check this out. It's all happening here.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino is the local place to win.
Good times right here.
Let the Birmingham Racecourse Casino bring the good times to you. The Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where the good times roll.
Where you could be a winner too. Yeah, boy.
Oh, it's the legend, the Paul Feinbaum 4-time Caller of the Year here in the Legend Cave, where only great man has come. Keefer, Tony Curry, Tupac, Elvis, Burt Jones, you name it, ain't but the great man get in the Legend Cave. You see Bear over there standing my statue. Last week against South Florida, I nearly lost my hair. I was going to pull my hair out. What is that? Thought I had lost it there in the last quarter, but thank God Nick Saban came out of the booth, down on the field, gave that ugly look, and Alabama started scoring touchdowns. Man, I tell you something, my hat nearly got lost there. South Florida has turned into the Southern Miss of the 80s when it comes to Alabama football. That team knows how to give us a game, but thank God in the end, we pulled it out, and I kept the few hairs that I had, Alabama fans. This week we go to Wisconsin and face the Wisconsin Badgers. You know, that's the school's got to jump around in the fourth quarter. Well, Alabama better be jumping around in the first and second quarter, in the third quarter. So all they got to jump about in the fourth quarter is how to hit the exit. We need to handle this game early, ladies and gentlemen. I know last week you seen what I seen. That offensive line struggled. Both our tackles were out last week, and we struggled up there on that line. I want to tell the offensive coordinator at Alabama this right here. The scouting report is out on Alabama, baby. Woo, I'm spitting. The scouting report is out. Everybody we face is going to bring the house. They're going to blitz us because it appears a lot of times we can't block. We can't block the sun out of our eyes. Come on, Alabama offensive linemen. Caden Proctor's back this week. Elijah Pritchard's back this week. So maybe we get it back together. I think we will. We get that line back together. We're going to have some Badger soup back in the Legend Cave. The soup's already back there. Get the Badger in the water. We're about to have some Badger soup, baby. This is a game where big plays will decide it. Last week, South Florida had a couple wide open wide receivers downfield. They overthrew them. The secondary has got to pick it up also. This is not a game we can lose, Alabama Nation, and I don't think we will. I think we go into Wisconsin today and we destroy this Badger team. Jalen Melrose, J.M. Miller, Justice Haynes, Hollywood Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Pinterest, come alive! We are the Alabama Crimson Tide. I got Alabama winning today 38-19, ladies and gentlemen. This will be a close game for about a quarter that I think Alabama takes it over. Hold on, Alabama fans. I know a lot of you this week felt we was going down against South Florida. You've seen this season sinking, but it's a long journey, and we're going to get there. We are the greatest program ever. We are the Alabama Crimson Tide. And here in the Legend Cave with the Bear and all the greats that have come before me, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, being an Alabama Crimson Tide fan is the greatest love of my life. I know you love them too. And when we get done today with Wisconsin, they will hate us. We put a foot in that Badger and put that Badger in the soup. Get ready. Remember, it's just a game. Don't be like the legend eating Badger soup. and be plumb insane.
Some of our great sponsors, Spy 4 Rent, spy the number 4 rent.com. They've been in business for over 30 years. They do everything: bug sweeps, divorce, drug testing, missing persons, surveillance, you name it. If you're looking for a PI, it is Spy 4 Rent. Woodhouse Day Spa, fantastic place. I know one Monty Ballard just went up there and got himself a gift card the other day.
Oh,
from
man.
Woodhouse Day Spa, Birmingham.woodhousespas.com, Birmingham.woodhousespas.com, and of course also Teresa Autry with Exit Realty Birmingham. She's going to join us a little bit later on the show. I did want to mention the UAB Blazers. They're coming off of just a really disappointing game. Of course, Brian Vincent, the former head coach, takes 18 staff and players and goes up there and beats UAB, only giving up a 6th spot against arguably what a lot of people thought was one of the best offenses in college football last year. I don't know what happened. Now UAB 1-7 in week 2s since 2017, so they came back. They've got a 7-game losing streak on the road, and they haven't beaten an SEC team in 20 years. So it's going to be a tough little 24.5-point favorite are the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I want to throw this out, and I saw this, and I don't know where I saw it, but if someone wants to clarify it, the last 11 times Arkansas has been favored by 21 or more, they're 11-0 straight up and
Really?
11-0 against the spread. So if you're looking for a way to lean, it may be against those Blazers a little bit, but the UAB Blazers are smart right now. This would be a great opportunity for them to play a good close game. And of course, Arkansas loves to run the football. UAB gave up 209 on the yard last week.
The stock on UAB is way down after that performance at ULM. Case in Las Vegas says ULM may have the least talented roster in the country, so to lose 32-6, that is an ominous sign. They can really get things back together with a decent performance today in Fayetteville. Hey, I want to tell you, no matter what happens in all the games, you can join us on the radio side on Jocks 94.5 on Saturday mornings. Kip and Terry Game Time. We preview the entire SEC and have time to really talk in depth about all the matchups. Hope you caught the show this morning. Well, we are available every Saturday, 8 to 10, before the starting lineup at 10:30. And then our staple shows Sunday mornings, 9 to 11. It is the morning after, your first chance to react to everything you see on the field on Saturday. Jammed with callers last week. It is the place to be on the Sunday, the morning after. And if you miss any of our shows, go to kqshows.com, kqshows.com. All the links to all of our shows, my shows on TKR, radio, television, the starting lineup. If you missed it, we need an excuse from your doctor. But if you didn't see it, you can catch it on the landing page website, kqshows.com, every single day.
Hey, it's Case Keefer back again, sports editor of Greenspun Media, Las Vegas Sun, Las Vegas Weekly, sports bettor, longtime sports betting journalist, here for my Vegas Heaters segment, where for the first time this football season, we have a lot to celebrate. 2-1 in the Vegas Heaters segment on college football games last week. 3-1 if you include the bonus NFL picks, and if you include the picks from the other segments, a sweet 5-1. So we can move on from the whole theme I had going on and go into a new one this week. For week 3 of college football, this might be a one-off, or at least a one-off until the end of November, but we are going to dive into rivalries, because in this new weird age of college football, a lot of rivalry games on the slate. I always have a tough time narrowing down to what picks I'm going to give on this show, as I've talked about before. So today, let's go with all in-state games, and we're going to start with maybe the most hated of all the games going on today, the backyard brawl between West Virginia and Pittsburgh. West Virginia traveling to Pittsburgh, and they are laying 2.5 points currently, and I think that's crazy. I think Pittsburgh should be favored in this game. I think this number is too anchored on last year, the priors coming in, and what happened. West Virginia had a big year out of nowhere. Everyone was expecting Neil Brown to be fired, for the Mountaineers to be a wreck. Well, they end up 7-5, but I think there was a lot of luck in that. You look at some of the teams they beat, not the best. I think they got the luck of the draw in the Big 12. I expect them to regress this year. We've already seen it a little bit. Pittsburgh, meanwhile, they are on the way up. They have a new offense, an Alabama transfer, Eli Holstein. If you've seen him the last couple of weeks, he is putting up big numbers, brought them all the way back against Cincinnati last week. I know some people might say they're gassed now. I don't buy it. I think this offense is just finding its rhythm. I'm more scared of them than West Virginia, despite what they did last year. So give me Pittsburgh plus 2.5 in the first game. Now we'll go from the East Coast all the way up to the Pacific Northwest, where we have the Apple Cup in week 3. The first time since 1940 2:45 this game has been played before November. Washington versus Washington State, and what I expect in this game is points. I think both offenses are high flying. You haven't really seen it from the Huskies yet. They've kind of kept it in check, only scored 30 points in their first 2 games against Weber State and Eastern Michigan, but I think they kept it vanilla, and I think they really deserve to score more points than that. When there are points, what do you want to look at? The favorite. So give me the favorite in this spot, Washington -4. I honestly think Will Rogers kind of got a bad deal going up there to play for a whole nother coaching staff, but Jed Fish convinced him to stay, said that you can run my offense and it'll be well. I had my doubts, and maybe it's too early to jump to conclusions, but I'm starting to think the Fish-Rogers pairing might be a win, might be something that can work well together. I think Washington State had a lot of transfers. They're still a pretty strong team, but without a conference, kind of in a weird spot right now. I like Washington -4. I think this should be closer than a touchdown. I'm going to take some artistic liberty with this final game. Not technically a rivalry if you want to get down to it, but it is 2 Texas teams squaring off against each other. Texas Tech hosting North Texas, and a lot of the things I said about the last game apply to this game. You thought that game was going to be high scoring. The Apple Cup has a total of, I believe, 56. This game between Texas Tech and North Texas has a total of 69. And what do we just learn? When there's points, you want the more skilled team. They're going to have more trials, more time to widen out their advantage. I think Texas Tech, they've had a really rough start to the season, got crushed in Washington last week against Washington State, barely slipped past Abilene Christian. But hey, their opponent today, North Texas, they weren't great last week either. They barely beat their FCS opponent, Stephen F. Austin, and I think that they run a top 20 pace in the nation. Texas Tech, a top 5 pace in the nation. I honestly think Texas Tech should slow it down as the season goes on to give them a better chance, but not here, not now. I think you let North Texas play their game of up-tempo, get 80 plays a game in, and I think that's going to play out well for Texas Tech. I will lay the 9.5 all day. I think this number should be more like 14. So as far as college football, I've got Texas Tech -9.5, Washington -4, Pittsburgh +2.5, and lastly, the Monday Night Football play came through brilliantly as a bonus last week. The 49ers rolled. Let's make Monday Night Football our thing here on the Vegas Heaters. This week, I'm going to take the +6.5 with the Atlanta Falcons. Am I high on them? Do I expect them to bounce back ultimately? No, not really, but I got to say, as bad as they looked in week 1, the Eagles' offense wasn't all that much better. They let up a lot of points to the Packers. I'm not so sold on the Eagles yet. I think this is a really big number between 2 teams a lot of people were high on coming into the season. I wasn't so high on them. I'd love if this gets back to 7, but for right now, Atlanta +6.5 should be good. That'll do it for this week's Vegas Heaters. Welcome back to the best bet upset portion of the show, where I get to kick us off again after a 2-0 week last week. Let's do it again. And for the upset this week, I am sticking in state. I'm going to take Jacksonville State going up to Eastern Michigan. This is a tough one for me because I have the utmost respect for Eastern Michigan coach Chris Creighton, but I just don't think he has the players. Jacksonville State, it's been a rough start to the season, but they have some athletes. I think they will run circles around Eastern Michigan and get the win. And for best bet, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I went to East Carolina last week. They got it done for me against Old Dominion. I think they get it done again today against App State. This team is a sleeping giant, one of the better teams in the group of 5. They are -7 for turnovers on the year and still an easy 2-0. That's my best bet and upset. Let's see what Terry has for us.
Thanks, Case. This week, my best bet is also an upset. Later on today, University of Colorado is going to be traveling to Fort Collins to take on the CSU Rams. Right now, CU is a 7.5-point favorite. I don't see it going that way this afternoon in Fort Collins, unfortunately. Shiloh Sanders is out. He had surgery earlier this week for that broken arm. Shedeur Sanders has gotten knocked to the ground just about more than any quarterback in college football. And Travis Hunter, who's really the star of the team, was throwing his helmet on the ground in frustration and arguing with Dion in the last game. Things are not going well in Boulder. CSU has a bone to pick because most of those players wanted to play for Colorado, did not get selected by Dion. I see CSU taking the upset this evening.
Both of us did fantastic on our dogs last week. We won outright on both those, Iowa State and San Jose State. And, of course, our best bets as well, always on fire, K4wins.com if you want to go to the website and see all of our plays. My best bet this week, I'm going back with Bill O'Brien, man. I'm taking Boston College. Wow. They knocked off SFU1. I know it doesn't look like an impressive win because they lost the second game, but they're catching 17 against Missouri. Missouri shouldn't be more than 17 against anybody. The Tigers 4-5 against the spread at home last year. And, of course, they're giving up 282 on the road. I think Bill O'Brien squad. Boston College loves to win the football. I think it's going to be a sloppy, ugly game. And then my upset special
Here
of the
it is.
week, I'm going to take those Brent Brennan Arizona Wildcats.
Oh.
They won 10 games last year. They're 0-2 against the spread this year. But they're catching a touchdown against K-State. They've got 11 guys coming back. And I just think this is a really good spot for Arizona. Could you imagine coming back and going to a team that had won 10 games last year? All you got to do is let your players play. I think Coach Brent does that. I think Arizona catch the 7. They win outright this weekend in college football. What you got?
Love it. Well, I'm amazed, and Tony touched on it there. The point spreads in the SEC are absurd this week. They're all so inflated. I think you can take a lot of the dogs against SEC teams this week. I don't think many of them are threatened to lose, but covering is going to be tough. So I'm going to start with my best bet, and I'm sorry, Auburn fans. That was a very disappointing performance last week at Jordan-Hare. And New Mexico is not a good team. New Mexico State came in and, of course, boat raced Auburn last year. New Mexico has a running quarterback that's very dangerous, but Auburn is a 29.5-point favorite. You mentioned Arizona, Tony. Arizona has already played New Mexico. They beat them 61-39 on 22-point spread. Arizona's a ranked team. Auburn is not. They're given 29.5. Give me the Lobos of New Mexico State. And my upset of the week, I'm going to go to Lubbock, Texas.
Oh.
The North Texas Mean Green are playing Texas Tech. Tony, I was looking at injury reports. Texas Tech is the most beat-up team in the nation right now. North Texas, that's the kind of game they're going to be all hyped up for. Texas Tech's going to go, oh, we're playing North Texas. Upset special. The Mean Green in Lubbock beats Texas Tech. All right, let's see what the Legend's got. He's up next. Legend, what's your upset best bet?
My upset pick of the day, I like the Purdue Boilermakers to knock off Notre Dame. This Notre Dame team is a fake and a phony, and Purdue gets it done at home. My best pick of the day, well, I just got to tell you, Alabama rolls today, baby. Give up them 16 points. We go to Wisconsin, and we get some Badger soup going. You'll hear about it in the Legend Cave. Now, kick it to the man, the legend himself in Birmingham, Mr. Tony Curry.
Well, we have Auburn and UAB to talk about. Legend set the scene expertly for us with Wisconsin, Alabama. It's kind of sad report today, Tony.
Do we have to talk about it?
We've got a big fan base on both teams, but man, we need some rebounds today. Auburn last week really had a big opportunity. There's been a lot of talk in the offseason. Could Auburn actually start 5-0? The answer to that question was answered last week. I told you here last week on the Auburn Report that California has a frontline, big-time defense, but I did not expect Auburn to struggle as much as they did offensively. A lot of controversy surrounding Peyton Thorne. Yes, they should definitely beat New Mexico today. I don't have any fears that they're going to lose the game, but I'm going to tell you in our next segment that I have some serious doubts about covering that 29.5-point spread. The main thing we need to see today from Auburn, Peyton Thorne has got to bounce back because they're all in on this guy, Tony. They've got nobody to step in.
Yeah, whose seat is hotter right now, Hugh Freeze or Trent Dilfer? I was in the locker room for the UAB game, and Trent looked at his ball players before that game, the ULM game, and said, listen, this is their Super Bowl. They want to do everything to knock us off. Of course, Brian Vincent, the former OC, did not get that job.
Yep.
Wanted to do everything to beat UAB, and they got it done and left up a 6 spot. What's scary to me is, of course, they give up 209 yards on the ground to ULM. You're talking Arkansas Razorbacks are averaging over 300 yards on the ground right now. It's 16th in the country. They're just going to run it down their throats all day long. And again, the weirdest thing is we're talking 1-7. 1-7 since UAB football came back in 2017 in week 2 games. It's been very, very strange. UAB hasn't knocked off an SEC team. You know the last team they knocked off 20 years ago? That would be the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Oh, wow. That's been a long
They
time.
also knocked off LSU around that time as well. So, and I mentioned that great stat, 21 points or more when Arkansas is favored by. They're 11-0 straight up the last 11 times. We'll see if they can bounce back, show what they're all about. They got to put the ball in the air, get it done. The UAB Blazers and, of course, your Auburn Tigers hopefully bounce back this week here in the starting lineup.